Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right, let's see if we are on today. Last week, I had an issue being on Facebook. So it looks like we may be on the right way today. Yes, I see some people joining. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Hi, Con. Okay, I see we're live on Facebook. Last week, my Facebook didn't record for some reason. So if you missed last week on Facebook, you can go and hear the recording on Instagram. So I'm assuming you guys can hear me okay, and we're good to go, right? Yeah? All right. Uh, well, welcome to Mindset Monday. And this morning, I want to talk a little bit about overwhelm. So, our topic this morning is about managing overwhelm. And so much is happening in the world. I mean, ah, my God, so weighty. And there's also so much happening this time of the year in our businesses and in our families and our lives, right? So, it's like everything just feels big. And, I always come on here, you guys, and I always speak from my own experience. So maybe it's just me, but you can throw a sign in any of the comments and say, yeah, maybe it's you too. Okay. So I'm not alone, but it just feels so weighty right now, right? So I wanted to just talk a little bit about some things that I'm doing to manage my level of overwhelm because it just feels heavy right now. And sometimes when things feel really heavy, and it kind of reminds me of the beginning of the pandemic when it was just like, what is going on? And how are we going to navigate the business that we have to deal with and the weight of the world? And so I feel kind of like that's where we are a little bit. So I want to just start off with the weight of the world. And there is this undeniable, unbearable heaviness. And good morning for those of you guys that are joining. There is a heaviness, there is a sadness, there's anxiety, there's fear, there's worry, there's weight. And this energy, whether we acknowledge it or not, and sometimes it's easier to be an ostrich where we just stick our head in the sand and we pretend like nothing else is going on. And sometimes that's a good coping mechanism, but it is undeniable that things are happening. And sometimes, even if we don't acknowledge it, it's still weighty and it's still heavy and we're still feeling it. And people are going through the weight of what's going on universally, even if they're not talking about it. And we're going through it, our families are going through it, and our staff are going through it. And so it creates a short rope, right? So we walk around usually when things are going fairly well with ourselves and in the world, and we have this rope. And some people have a longer rope than others. Some people have a shorter rope, but we have what our natural rope is, which is our coping rope. And and right now, I'm going to say no matter how long your rope usually is, it's probably half the size. And so your coping rope is probably, if it's usually this long, it's probably this long just naturally. And so what you would usually have to cope with your day-to-day life and your day-to-day business is now cut in half. And you're having to pull out the reserves or the generator to be able to deal with and cope with just natural things that you would normally deal with and cope with, uh, just because of the weight of the world. And so I just wanted to bring the reality forward and say that what we see, on our, whether it's our friends, our family, our coworkers, what we see them posting and what their reality of what we see posting or what people are saying may not be their reality. And people may not be okay, even though we're walking around seemingly maybe okay, people probably aren't okay in their hearts, and that's okay because the world's not okay right now on so many fronts. Uh, and so I think first and foremost, we need to check in on each other. And it just, again, like reminds me of when we were shut down during the pandemic. And, one of the things that I think we first did is we went into isolation and we went into panic mode and we went into fear mode because we didn't know what all this meant. And what we really needed was to reach out, and what we really needed was community. And so I just want to throw that out there that people probably aren't okay, and people are probably scared, and people have a lot of feelings about what's going on, and people might be touched in ways that we don't even know. We don't know what people are living day in and day out. We don't know what they're living. We don't know what people's reality is, where their families are. And so I think when I think about my world and my life, that managing my overwhelm, my step one is to check in with people. And when I'm checking in with people, it also helps me to check in with myself. And when I'm checking in with people, I'm opening myself up to hearing things that I may have feelings about. And it doesn't mean that I have to fix anything. It just means that I want people to know that I'm there. And I may not be able to do anything, but have an open ear. And I don't know about you, but sometimes when someone checks in with me and I'm able to just talk or cry or be there, um, that helps to release the air in the balloon that feels like it's getting so tight it might pop. And it gives me more space and it gives me more rope to cope. And so I want you to know that this morning, I know it may feel a little bit heavy, but the world is heavy right now. And I'm checking in with you. So, my step one for overwhelm is I want you to know that I'm checking in with you, that I am sending you prayers if you need prayers, and I'm sending you healing in your heart if that's what you need, and that I can hold a space for you today to be able to let some of the air out of that balloon and make some space for your rope, for your coping rope. And I'm sending you healing and peace and love and safety and a space where you can just take a deep breath. So, step one for being able to manage overwhelm is to connect to community. So, if there's anything that I can leave you with today, it's to pay that forward and check in with somebody today and just see if your people are okay. So, that would be my step one. All right. All right. Step two. I have 3 steps for you today. You know how I like my threes. Step two um, is I think it's important when we're feeling overwhelmed. And sometimes, I don't know about you, but when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I feel like sometimes like I'm on a hamster wheel and I'm just like going and I'm looking around and I'm like, I don't even know where to get off and I don't even know what to do first. And so I was feeling like that this week. I have a million projects. And when I say a million, it's like I if I feel like if I get off the hamster wheel, I don't even know like what's going to happen. So what I did this week is I sat down and I just said, what are the top 5 things I need to do? And I'm just going to write them down because the other things will get done. But what are just the top 5 things that I need to do? And I'm just going to write them down because if I don't, they're not going to get done. And those 5 things are also big. And it doesn't mean I have to get them done this week. It just means like, let me just put them down. And then I'm gonna take one at a time, like which one's the most important. And I know this sounds super elementary, but I usually don't write a lot of things down. I keep everything in my head. I will write some things down, and but I'm just like a goer and I'm a doer, and I usually get things done on the spot. But this week I'm writing things down. And some of the things that I'm writing down are big projects and they feel overwhelming to me. And maybe one of the reasons they feel overwhelming is because I have a shorter rope. And I think that having some empathy for yourself and acknowledging that your rope is shorter right now is a good thing because then you can give yourself some grace, right? And not be hard on yourself that maybe you can't do everything that you thought that you can do. And I mean, one example is I went to the gym this past week and I was working out with my trainer. And, I usually go in and I'm, doing my thing and he's pushing me as usual, which is, I have a love-hate relationship with. And honestly, I couldn't even, I just wanted to start crying. I don't know if you've ever been pushed so hard that you want to just start crying. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just like, "I'm not okay." Because emotionally, I just was like, here. It wasn't that, I couldn't really do what was being asked of me, but I didn't have the bandwidth to do it. And so I just had to, he gave me grace and I gave myself grace. And it's like, it's okay. It's like, you know what? Let's just go do this over here and do some, low impact or whatever it was stuff. And you're good. Like, it's okay. And it's like, yeah, it's okay. So with some of the projects that you may have, it's not life or death, guys, right? It's like do what you can do and give yourself grace. So take your projects and chunk the projects into small, chunky pieces. And I'm reminded of this also because I am working on this huge project right now that has nothing to do with the beauty industry, but I have a rental property that I've had for years and years, and we are building like a granny flat or an ADU on the back of it. And I don't know the first thing about starting from ground zero, building a unit. It's going to be like a 3-story unit on the back of this house. So it was so overwhelming to think about what needs to be done to get that done. I mean, I could see turning and walking away from that because it felt so overwhelming. And I'm just using this as an example, but my first step was to find a draftsman or an architect. And so I did that and I found that one person and like that was my one first step. It's all I had to think about. I didn't have to think about the city. I didn't have to think about the contractor. I didn't have to think about what it would look like. I didn't have to think about what the kitchen would look like. Right. So I just had to find that one person. So all I had to do was just seek somebody out, get a referral. I found that, and then he would lead me to my next step. And so the reason I'm sharing that is because when we have a project and maybe we don't know what our next steps are, that's also okay. And so we chunk it, right? What's just step one? And so a lot of times we don't follow our dreams and do the things that we want to do because things seem overwhelming. And right now, in a world where our rope is shortened, we have things that we still have to get done. And so it's okay to go slower and make your chunks smaller. But I want you to still take baby steps forward and give yourself grace around that. And then the next right thing is going to be right in front of you to do. So I think part of it is giving yourself grace, and the next part is trusting that the next right thing is going to reveal itself. Because hasn't it always? I mean, we're not babies that we don't have a history of the next right thing showing up for us. So let's have that trust, right? That the next right thing always shows up, right? So we make our list of priorities. So our our step one is that we're going to check in with our people, right? Our community, our people, our loved ones. Our step two is going to be making a list of priorities, and we're going to do small little chunks and have grace and empathy for ourselves that like we don't have to like, finish some giant project if you don't have the bandwidth. Step three, this one gives me so much breath. is to practice gratitude right now. And so last night, um, I was, I don't know, the universe is just so magical. I was sitting and writing what I wanted to talk about today. And I was like, my son came in the room and I was like so frustrated with him over something, and I'm thinking to myself, can he just not be grateful? Like, is he just not a grateful 15-year-old boy? Are any 15-year-old boys grateful? Right. And I'm just like so frustrated. And then I thought to myself, are you a grateful 58-year-old woman? So I just thought, well, you know what? You're not right this minute. And I closed my computer and I sat down. I was sitting down and I actually got paper and pen and I started writing down um, what I was grateful for. And so that makes a really big difference. And I had forgotten about that practice in all of this heaviness and all of this weight and all of this fear and all of this sadness uh, and all of the worry. I forgot about practicing gratitude. And so the three things that I wrote down last night is that I'm really grateful for my health and my mobility. I've been really working on my mobility this last year. I've had some really bad hip and my joints, my hip joints have been just giving me a lot of problems this last year. And I've been working really hard on that. And I have such great mobility now and my health. And so I feel so grateful for my health and my well-being because I feel like with my health that anything is possible. And I'm very grateful for my job and everything I get to do, not things that I have to do, but what I get to do every day, that I get to be here with you guys and that um, I get to be with my team and that the job that I have created for myself over, over 3 decades has allowed me opportunities to this day that I have new opportunities coming around the corner all the time that I just never thought would be possible. And so I'm so grateful for that because I just get to do things that I don't even know that I'd be able to do otherwise. So I get to show up and do amazing things every day. And I'm super grateful for my family, even in times of frustration, that I have the ability and that I'm able to experience love in a way that I don't know that I'd ever be able to experience that. And to be able to sit down and write down the things that I'm grateful for really helps to remind me that gratitude helps to remind me of my resilience and it helps to ease overwhelm. And it helps to remind me that in this very moment, in this moment of time, right here, we're okay, right? We're good. Everything is good. We're right here, right now. And so gratitude is step three. So what I want you guys to do right now is throw in the comments what you're grateful for today and just throw one thing out there and take a breath and really have that land for you so that you can hold on to that today and extend that coping rope. Extend that coping rope. And if you want to throw into the comments, which one of these steps hit home for you today? Which one did you feel like, oh, that was the thing? That was the thing that I needed. I hope that one of them helped you today. I know that a lot of times you guys jump on here to hear business strategies, and I just didn't have it today. It's been hard for me to kind of wrap my arms around business strategies this week. My head has felt foggy and heavy and overwhelmed, to be honest. And so that's just my truth. It's not been okay, and that's okay, right? So I'm really grateful for you guys showing up every week and supporting this journey. And I look forward to reading all of your comments that fill me up and help me to put one foot in front of the other. So um, I I hold a space for each one of you. I hold a space of peace and safety and harmony and empathy and grace. And and I hope that you have a week where you can slowly move through the week and don't be hard on yourself. You got this. I believe in you. And I'll see you guys next week. And I have no idea what next week will be about, but I love the comments that you guys are putting in here. Uh, I'm definitely breathing easier this week and today. Uh, Thank you so much for those beautiful messages. And yeah, I didn't know if I'd get through today without tears in my eyes, and I don't know that I will. So thank you for that. I really appreciate you guys. Have a great week.